Hello, and welcome to our next MSP marketing presentation. This one is on 3 AI-powered marketing activities for MSPs. I'm Justin Millerson. I am joined by my colleagues Chris Thomson and Pierre Mol. And as mentioned, we will take a look at AI-powered marketing activities that you can use right now. And this is really a follow-up on our presentation last month, which is 5 marketing actions to capitalize on MSP tech trends in 2025. To be clear, this is a standalone presentation, so if you didn't see the one last month, that's okay. But for the added context, that one's always helpful to look at. And whether you are receiving this in an email, a newsletter, or on YouTube, there will be a link to that presentation down below. But today's focus is to really share practical MSP use cases to get things done with AI's help. Okay, so to continue on from today's focus, we want to take a look at some MSP marketing use cases. And one of those could be to create a new service page for AI-related services, and we'll get into that in a second. Create an industry-specific solutions page and optimize your current cybersecurity services page. So how can AI help do that? Well, if you look over to the right, for creating a new service page, it helps with producing an outline, and we'll get into that. And it can help with writing the content and also auditing and optimizing the content for SEO.
Great. Thanks, Justin, for this intro, and very excited to go through our first activity. So we're really going to focus on how AI can help produce an outline for a new service page. And if we go to the next page. Yeah, so our first use case, like we mentioned, is going to be to launch a Microsoft Copilot service page. The reason we chose this use case is because a lot of MSPs are really starting to push forward how they're helping small businesses, tackle AI, and very specifically Copilot, since so many businesses use Microsoft, and that's what a lot of MSPs are resellers. So creating a Microsoft Copilot service page is really helpful for you if you haven't done so already, so that you can position yourself as an AI innovation leader, or even really catch up. Some MSPs have already put those service pages up, so I really encourage you to take the time to really start thinking, okay, what research do I need to do? What information do I have? And really kind of get going writing this outline for your service page. And this is where AI can really save you a ton of time, putting together all your notes. So yeah, let's dive in.
Okay, yeah, and thanks for that, Pierre. So we're going to do a step-by-step process here. And one of the things, and we're going to do a demo here in a second, but one of the things I wanted to kind of outline here is that AI is a really good tool to help generate the initial content ideas for your service page. So I've created a lot of service pages here at Pronto, and AI has been a big help in how we do things. In the first step is really ideation. And I have an example prompt here that is specific to MS365 Copilot. And I want to carry this over into ChatGPT. So if you guys just give me a moment here, I'll switch the screen share to my other screen. Now, what you're looking at here is a pre-done ChatGPT chat. But you'll see the first prompt that I used here, which is outline the key benefits of Microsoft Copilot for small businesses in plain language. Now, there's importance to starting off on this foot here. When you're creating a service page, you want to make sure that you're communicating it to an audience, communicating it to your audience in language that they understand. So ChatGPT is a blank canvas. So going in and trying to get it thinking, or trying to train it into demonstrating things in plain language is good practice. So the example prompt, again, is outline the key benefits of MS365 Copilot for small businesses in plain language. And this is what it gave me. It gave me a list of 7 different benefits for small businesses. So it saves time on repetitive tasks, boosts productivity, enhances communication and collaboration, and so on. So these are just bullet points or just notes that you would take in a notepad, let's say. But we're not at the service page yet. The next prompt really kind of gets at the outline of the service page. So I have another prompt here, and I made this one location specific because, like many MSPs today, they're trying to capitalize on the local market. So if you're an MSP trying to capitalize on the local market, you might say something like, I am an Orange County MSP who is looking to add a service page around MS365 Copilot. Please outline the service page, use H1s, H2s, paragraphs, text, etc. And actually, this little part here is a little bit important in terms of the formatting that it will spit out. Without this, it might just kind of spit out bullet points that aren't really structured in any sort of way, but this kind of hints to ChatGPT that you want it to kind of look like a service page or a web page rather. So after this, it spat out this here. MS365 Copilot services in Orange County. So this would be kind of your above the fold section. It's imagining this text here. And then down below, it's got a section on why choose MS365 Copilot, and it's got some points there. Our MS365 Copilot services, and it's got a list of services. So you can really see that it's put together a pretty good outline on what a page could look like. Now, of course, you have to remember that this is just an outline, that this is not even at the draft stage yet. But if you're happy with this outline, you can then take this text, copy it into a document, and then start putting your own brand or your own business information inside of it. This is a good first draft of an outline, if that makes sense. And you can continue iterating on it, and you can continue improving it as you go. So that is really a good way to build an outline for your page. So to recap, just really quick, starting off with some general notes about your service page, just typing out the benefits in plain language. That way, ChatGPT has a little bit of knowledge or a little bit of a hint of how you're thinking about your service page. And then you ask it to draft your outline afterwards, and that puts together a pretty good V1 outline for you. Okay, and I'm going to go back into the presentation.
Yeah, and thanks, Justin. I really liked how, you went from starting broad so that you can kind of have, more ideas and kind of then go in more specific. So because by all means, what we're recommending is be as specific as you can, whether it's the location, whether it's the type of business that you're helping, are you really trying to address, are you trying to create a sort of more broad, small business type of page, or are you trying to be specific even to how like a healthcare practice may actually be tackling AI with their different compliance issues. And those are things we'll kind of touch on in the following slides. And I guess, the other thing, and I think you touched upon it, Justin, is, this outline isn't meant to be a final product. And by all means, we are saying that you should be editing it, making it yours, and adding your own content. And we'll touch on that a bit more in the following slides.
Yeah, thanks for that, Pierre. And a few things that I wanted to outline here as well is that there is a step 2 to this, and on your service page, when you are thinking about the outline, you do have to think about things that ChatGPT can't help you with necessarily, and that is to provide real life examples of how your business specifically can help clients. So if your business can provide MS 365 Copilot services to help someone draft a proposal based on lead notes and bullet points, then you should think about where that fits on your service page. Also, if other illustrations of how it can work. So an example that I listed here was using Copilot in Excel to analyze sales data. So there's always going to be things that are on your service page that AI can't cover or can't help you with in a single prompt, but you always got to be thinking about those things as well.
And one last thing I'll cover regarding the, creating an outline here is that we sort of covered sort of the 101 version of it. Because if you have a service page structure, you may want to follow a certain kind of flow in your service page generally. Like you start with your hero banner and then kind of go into, okay, what's the problem that my target audience is facing, then kind of what is the solution that I bring, what is the social proof. And so you may have a very like formulaic approach to building that service page. And I would say that, you're kind of already getting into sort of more complex, type of content building. And maybe that's someone, if you have an in-house marketer that has more time to do it. So obviously, figure out how much time you have to get those things done. The more specific you can be, again, the better. And, obviously taking into account your existing page structure is another very helpful thing, so that there's consistency across your service pages. All right. Now we've got that outline, and for this activity, we decided to pick a different use case that we had covered in our previous webinar recording, like Justin mentioned. So we're going to focus on writing content for an industry-specific page. All right, and so here, let's say, for example, you want to come up with sort of a solution services page for healthcare cybersecurity because you are really knowledgeable about this. You understand sort of like HIPAA compliance and different things that are specific to the healthcare industry. I think this again is where Gen AI can really help you sort of collect your thoughts, but even go sort of a bit of a step, further in terms of starting to improve your SEO and thinking of conversion rates and all that kind of stuff. So with that, we'll let Chris give us a demo.
Great. Okay, so we've got our outline. The next step we're going to do is turn that into some content. So that'll be step one. And we're going to use a feature in ChatGPT called Canvas. It's really great. It's like a living document, and you'll see what I mean in a minute. And then we're going to move this into a SEO research tool where we can really look into making sure that we've got all the right keywords that we need in the content to increase its chances in ranking. And then always, actually during all the steps, we need to review what's going on, because most of these tools are going to make mistakes sometimes. So we need to make sure that it's exactly what we want it to be. So it's going to share my screen.
Yep.
Right. Okay. So we're going to start off with this prompt up here. So write a compelling service page for the following outline. The content should be professional, informative, persuasive, highlighting the importance of the service and why businesses should choose this company. And right here, I've just copied and pasted the outline. One tip is whenever you're writing a prompt, sometimes you can use ChatGPT to help you write the prompt. So you can simply type into ChatGPT, I'm trying to do this. I want to create a prompt that does this. What can give me some suggestions? Okay, so we've got this here, and then ChatGPT has created this canvas. So if you don't see it like this, you can just ask ChatGPT, turn this into a canvas. But if I click on this now, you'll see that the conversation of ChatGPT has moved into a sidebar. So I can kind of keep this conversation going, and it won't affect what's on the canvas unless I specifically ask it to. So for example, this is the content it's created. For example, it did have 4 frequently asked questions, but I wanted to have 5. So what I did is I highlighted all of the frequently asked questions, come up here and ask ChatGPT, and then you can see over here I've already asked it, increase to 5. So that will just look at this section and change it from 4 to 5. So you can really kind of dig into each section. If something doesn't read right, you can highlight that section and say to ChatGPT, hey, can you change it to something like this? You can look at the tone. You look at the length. Maybe you want 5 FAQs, but you want them to be longer. So you can kind of really go into that here. And then once we've done this, we can take this content and then move it into a tool called Surfer SEO. Now, Surfer SEO is an SEO content writing tool with some really neat AI features. So this is the content that I've copied in here. We can see over here that the suggested word count is currently lower than it should be. And all of these suggestions, including the keywords down here, come from the top 10 results for our target keyword. So our target keyword is healthcare, cybersecurity services. What Surf has done is looked at the top 10 and tried to find similarities in the ranking pages. Because if Google's chosen these 10 specifically and there's some similarities, then maybe that's something that Google's looking for. So we've got a list of keywords here and how often they should be used, and the content length, how many headings and paragraphs, and we've got this Ask Surfy up here, which is similar to ChatGPT. You can highlight sections and click Ask Surfy, and then ask it to change the tone or make it longer. We've also got this auto optimize, and what that does is it takes the content that you've got, it looks at the keywords that's missing, and also incorporates the length if it needs to be longer or not. And then it gives you a bunch of suggestions that you can kind of take or leave. And so if I come over to this tab, this is what it would look like after you press that button. It takes a little while. So you can see here the score has gone from 42 out of 100 to 80, which is great. And then you can kind of dig into these suggestions a bit more up here. So for example, here is added a new H2 section up here. And this section has been optimized, and then you can kind of look, you can compare the different versions to make sure it's what you want, or if you wanted a reminder of what it used to be. And then you can kind of, accept or deny these changes, and then you can save and close, and then that will be your updated SEO optimized content. But again, after I save and close, I'd also keep going through it, go for a final draft, still add some content if I think something's missing, but definitely give it that final look over.
Yeah, and just one thing to add on that, Chris, in my experience with Surfer SEO, it is really important to actually go through all of the changes after clicking auto optimize. Chris mentioned it, but I can't stress that enough. It is a shortcut, but when we do take a shortcut, we are still driving the car. We can't let go of the wheel. So you really have to make sure that it's not stuffing a keyword where it doesn't quite make sense, or the grammar is a little bit off. So you really do have to go through each change one by one, but it still does save a ton of time in the end.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and another thing about that score you were showing, right? It's a score out of 100, and just like any automated tool with those type of scores, the goal isn't necessarily to be at 100 exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Aiming to be in the green, in a way you can sort of follow like that 80-20 rule type. You want to, 80% to be in that 80% green zone. And your pages can still rank. I think the risk is if you really try to go to 100, you're going to overdo it, and it's likely going to be at the detriment of your audience, and just sort of having maybe a more robotic, a more less human friendly type piece of content. I would also say that maybe one of the downsides of those tools generally is that I feel they tend to push you to write more. And while that sounds great, and because more words equals more keywords, or key phrases that you can be ranking for in theory, one, there's a risk of cannibalizing your keywords, which would be trying to rank for too many keywords with just one page, when you could just have one page focus on one keyword and key phrase, and be sort of leaner and better aligned with the searcher's intent. Yeah, and the other thing is just that your audience may not be in it to be reading an academic book or whatever. So keeping it short can also be useful. And then maybe I think, Chris, one last thing is, like, in this demo, we obviously didn't address having images and all that kind of stuff. So, all right, let's move on to the next activity, which is auditing and optimizing an existing service page. So let's say, you already have an existing service page. And one of the use cases we wanted to cover here is revising your cybersecurity service page. I'm pretty sure all MSPs watching this here have already a cybersecurity service page. And the reason we kind of wanted to cover this is because what we've seen from our research and the tech trends that kind of surfaced at the end of last year and beginning of this year is that essentially where the top MSPs are really going all in on it is cybersecurity and kind of leading with that as a way to acquire more new business. So making sure you have an up-to-date cybersecurity services page is super important. Google rewards fresh content. I think things do change over time. We change our services, or things just evolve naturally with technology, and so we do need to keep up with our own service pages, and MSPs are no different. Here again, Chris is going to do a great demo on how you can ensure you have the right SEO best practices.
Great. Yeah, but so we're going to look at two different ways to audit a web page. First, we're going to look at ChatGPT and look at more of the tone, see if it's missing any sections. And then we're going to look at Surfer SEO again and do an SEO content audit. We're going to use a different section of Surfer so you can get an idea of how what different things it can do. And the main difference is that we're going to be looking at live pages in Surfer. So okay, so this is the content that we've got on our website, and this is the prompt that we're going to use to ask Surfer to look into it. So act as a content writing SEO expert for an MSP, critique our cybersecurity service page, and suggest improvements in clarity, tone, and structure. A little tip here is to give your whenever you're kind of asking ChatGPT to do something, you can give it a character. You can kind of help frame what ChatGPT's doing through a lens. So in here, I'm giving him or her the character of SEO expert for an MSP. So come down here. Okay, this is all the content we've got, and then ChatGPT is going to make some suggestions, and you can take it or leave it. You need to read through these obviously to make sure that you agree or not. For example, here we've got clarity and readability, and these are the tips that ChatGPT is suggesting, and it's given us a before and after. So it's saying that this is maybe too much of a block text, and it should be broken up into bullet points. A good example of when ChatGPT gets it wrong is here. So it's tried to make some SEO suggestions, and it said for this section, this is the before, the H1 and meta. So it's thinking that the H1 is a title tag because it's changed it down here to something that's more like an SEO title tag. And this subheading, it's considering it a meta description. So title tags and meta descriptions are what you see in search results. But so it's kind of confusing the title and the description search results with the heading, the main heading of the page with the subheading here. So I wouldn't change the H1 to this because I know it's getting it confused with the title that appears in search results. So yeah, something to look out for, but I'd go through all of these and I'd see which ones make sense, which ones are good ideas. And again, you can keep the conversation going. So if ChatGPT is suggesting something and you're not too sure why, you can ask it. So you say, oh, you mentioned that I should do this with my structure and flow. What is the reasoning behind that? And so you can kind of delve into the reasoning behind why it's suggesting something. And you can even say, well, what about this? Like, isn't this a better idea? And then ChatGPT will kind of have a conversation with you about your idea and its idea and the pros and cons. So it's always good to kind of keep the conversation going, especially if you're not too sure where this suggestion is coming from. And then the second way to do an audit of a page, and this is more through an SEO lens, is we're back in Surfer, and this is another tool that's got where it looks at live web pages. So we can come, and this is an example website, and we can come down here. It's suggesting some internal links are missing. You can click on this button and go through all these different pages. So suggesting that all of these pages need to have links coming back to this target page. And then these are the terms that need more of. This one is all good. Yes, so example, Los Angeles business, and this needs to increase from 2 to 5. And then you can kind of come down here and take all of this information, then update your content. And you can update the content the same way that we've done before, like bring it into ChatGPT if you want, or taking it straight into the other area of Surfer and start writing the content and using some of its AI features there. Okay.
Okay, yeah, and yeah, thanks for that, Chris and Pierre. I think I just want to recap the key takeaways of today's presentation. One is content creation and optimization. AI helps content ideation, content to SEO analysis, and optimization. I think one of the things that we really want to stress here is to start small. Starting small does a few things. One, it familiarizes yourself with the technology. It makes it digestible. You get to experiment and maybe even have a little bit of fun with it. So take one service page that you're looking to build or looking to optimize and give it a shot and pilot, the one AI-driven tactic and see what it comes up with. And like Chris mentioned, keep the conversation going as well with AI as well. To really refine it and to sharpen it the way that you want to. I always like to say that ChatGPT is kind of like a dance partner. That the more that you dance with it, the better result that you'll get. And the last point, and it's a really big one, is that AI is meant to augment your efforts and to not replace them. And just like I mentioned about the shortcut analogy, there still has to be a driver, there still has to be hands on the wheel. So every output that comes about needs to be reviewed, and it needs to it needs to be ensured that it's correct and it's aligned with your brand. One thing that I'll add to this point too is that AI, using AI to help develop content is not always necessarily a humongous time save. Really, it can take a lot of time to use AI to build service pages and blogs and things like that. But while it doesn't save maybe a ton of time if you're using it correctly, in my opinion, it really improves the quality of what you would have put out without AI. That's just my opinion. So don't look at it as something that is going to 10x your work, but rather something that's just going to augment and make better what you would have created without it.
One of the things I find Gen AI most useful with for is getting over my writer's block. And I think a lot of people listening here, if you're an owner or if you're a very busy marketer with multiple hats, writing is maybe 10% or 25% of what you do every day. And so when you don't have that muscle, I think using Gen AI can be really helpful, because very quickly when I start adding a prompt and seeing results, I'm like, okay, this is helpful. It's really not what I want. It's not as specific, or it's kind of it's too broad. And but at least it just helps me move the ball forward on the court, and I think that's super useful.
Okay, so we covered a lot of different marketing actions here, and we provided some instructions for you to give it a shot. But if you're interested in a free marketing consultation, and to talk about some of these marketing actions and how they can help your business, or what on your website can be improved or optimized, we're inviting you to have a free consultation with our head of accounts, Adam. And once again, if you're receiving this in an email or on YouTube, you see it on YouTube, we will have a link down below to claim that free marketing consultation. Okay, so that wraps up today's presentation. Thank you very much for coming this far. Again, we have a free marketing consultation for you to claim, and I also have a link to the video of last month's presentation as well. On behalf of Pierre and Chris, thank you very much again, and we will see you again soon.
Thank you. Bye-bye.